So today I'm hoping to get you guys going and excited to make yourself better. As our current slogan says, improving your portfolio, boosting your skills, and taking your brand to the next level. Add into that not just your brand, but your personal brand, right? In this session, I'm going to be showing you how to properly prepare to learn something new and to properly tackle that new challenge, that new skill you want to develop, and how to reinforce it. So we do have a bit of an agenda today. I'm going to give you a quick overview, guys, of what's the basics of skill development. What do we all try? What have I tried and failed at when it comes to learning something new? So essentially the general path of skills development. When you're teaching skills development, people teach it from their mind's eye, and it's very hard to envision what it's like for someone else to tackle this new challenge for themselves. What I'm going to show you today is the best way we believe you can develop your skills. However, the best way to know this is to try it yourself. So I'm looking forward to hearing some feedback at the end of this session, or some feedback in a week or two time through our Evolve Discord community, of course, of what you learned from this session. Did the session work for you? Have you started learning a new skill, and how is that going? So the prep work is going to be the first part of that, mapping out the experiences. Next is going to be creating a routine, just a quick high-level overview of making time for yourself, trying to find a way to maintain a constant development path for your new skill. The next bit after that is reinforcement. Reinforcement is essentially going to be what you need to do to get yourself back on track, to keep going. That's the best part, so that's why I've saved it for last. When you want to learn something new, it usually starts with a trigger, a reason why you should do it, something that makes you go, I want to try something. In some cases, it's boredom. You sat there thinking, I've got nothing to do, or it might be a uni, you might be just sat home in the evening. Either way, you're wondering, I've not really got much going on. I might give this a go. I might learn how to code for a bit, or I might learn how to use Photoshop. This is kind of like intrusive thoughts that can be beneficial, I guess, because you want to learn something new. It pops in your head and you go, I'll give it a go. The next one's progression. And this comes in career progression mainly. From my point of view, it can come in terms of you're working on your own brand, your own idea, and you want to develop this skill to move along a bit. I'd say that's a stronger way to learn a new skill, right? And the one after that I've got down here is soul searching. Something's missing in your life. Something feels wrong. Something feels like, I need to fill a gap here. You want to improve yourself. You want to be the better version of yourself. You want to find out who you are and where you fit in this world. People start a new skill as part of that soul searching journey. A part of that journey to actually understand who you are and what you're on this earth to do. Now, from top to bottom, I'd say soul searching is one of the strongest triggers for learning a new skill. If you're learning a new skill for that soul searching reason, you're more likely to go all the way to the end with this skill. After that is progression. You're doing it for your job, you're doing it for the monetary reasons, you're doing it to build up your idea. That's the next strongest reason to learn a new skill. Boredom, the reason a lot of people learn a new skill, but boredom is also the weakest trigger, because as much as you started it because you were bored, you're likely to drop that skill because you're bored of that learning process. And we'll talk about how to make sure you're starting that new skill for the right reasons, and how to make the most out of that skills development, out of that skills journey, how to stay motivated along that journey also. The next thing people do is then go and research this new skill. For example, when I was learning how to skateboard, first thing I did was watch YouTube videos. That's definitely a skill I did out of boredom. That's definitely a skill that I don't think I've perfected at all. And it's definitely a skill that every now and then I try just because I'm bored, or just because I want to get from A to B, you know? I'm getting better at it, but it's definitely taken me a lot longer to get better at that compared to a lot of other things I've tried to learn over time. After that is blogs. Now, I'm not a big reader myself, but I'm very aware a lot of people like to read blogs. A lot of people like literature, you know. So people will read blogs on their skill they want to learn. I know friends who wanted to get into investments and they would read books, for example, on that skill. Another research opportunity could be podcasts, right? Diary of the CEO, it's by Stephen Bartlett. I like to listen to that every now and then because I want to be a really good entrepreneur. That's more of a goal, I guess, than it. But it's also a skill. I'm not gonna actually no. Being an entrepreneur is also a skill. That's something I want to develop. And last but not least, asking an expert, someone who's been there, done that. Similar to our last session we talked about when it comes to knowledge sharing, finding that person who can guide you along that journey. That could be part of your research as well. Asking that person you know who's really good at this skill you want to learn, how did they do it? Next is trialing it. There's different ways you can try a new skill. Full time, quit everything, quit your job. I want to focus on this skill. I want to be amazing. Part time, you've got other responsibilities, but I'm trying to fit this skill in here somewhere within my calendar every now and then. And ad hoc, more of how I treated my skateboarding. The best way to learn a skill, of course, is full time, be 100% dedicated to it. But being realistic, that's not really possible. A lot of us have full time jobs, a lot of us have other responsibilities. So most of us fall down to that part time stage. When it comes to learning a new skill, you need to consider how important it is to you. If you're in a position where you've got friends and family that can support you, then give that full time a go. If you've not got responsibilities to handle, you've not got family to pay for anything like that, consider moving things around for that full time. But like I said, this is just a quick overview of the basic ways of developing skills. I'll give you all that juicy information later on. Next, tracking skills. So a lot of people journal. A lot of people don't do that tracking stage at all. They kind of do the ad hoc thing and you just give up because I'm bored of doing this thing. But some people like to track whilst they're doing the skill. It could be journaling, progress tracking. It could be calendar reminders. I've got multiple calendar reminders, making sure I'm doing certain things. Right now, I'm trying to learn a bit about app development. So I've got to-do list every morning of things I need to cover. But as promised, I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. And the first thing you need to do in terms of preparing to learn a new skill is understand why this skill is important to you. Like I said, I'm going to help you understand whether it's worth tackling this new skill or not. You need to understand how this skill will benefit you. You need to have an idea of where is it going to take me. And you also need to understand who will benefit from this as well. Have you got friends that depend on you, family that depends on you to be really good at this skill so you can earn the money to support them? Have you got a team that depends on you to learn how to do this skill, whether it's learn how to use Photoshop or for the short term just for a project or for the long term because that job role needs filling and you really want that job role? You've got to understand the why. Now, the best judge of your why is, can you imagine a day in the life of having this skill, a day in the life of mastering this skill you want? Can you imagine what that's like? This is really hard to do, and that's fine because we're going to cover more about this later and we're going to slowly develop how to build up that image in your head. But can you imagine what day one looks like? You're really good at this one skill. I'm a really good web developer, a skill that I'm still developing. I'm a really good web developer. What does it look like in a year's time after I've maybe got a bit better? I can say I'm closer to mastering this skill. Honestly, I'm not sure. I know what it feels like. I know I feel more fulfilled. I know I feel more like I can just dive into any challenges. I know I feel more like I can just get started with a website without having to use something like Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is a web platform a lot of developers use to find answers to their code problems. I know that's what it feels like, but I can't imagine that day, and that's okay. But I want to be able to. There's enough excitement in me to kind of go, I think it will still be amazing. So you note all of that down, you note how excited you are. Every time you do this skill, you try to build that image in your head of how good will it feel when I've mastered it. Have that going in your mind's eye. And not just that, but who else is going to benefit? Me, my friends, my family, all the people depending on me to get this win. With that noted down, now you're starting to build an image in your head of this new skill you want to learn. It's time for some self-reflection. I'm sure a lot of us have come past this at some point in their lives, and that's the typical SWOT analysis. Typical SWOT analysis, but not usually used in this situation, I guess. And a lot of the experiences I've had, the SWOT analysis has been, oh, let's look at this business idea and let's analyze its strengths and weaknesses. But taking that away and bringing it onto myself and bringing it onto yourselves. Now, in this situation, the strength is something you're really good at, something that will guide you along skills development journey of yours, something that will make sure you stay motivated. The strength aspect in this stage is more internal to you. What are you good at? Are you hyper-focused? Are you able to sit still for a very long time? Are you very organized as a person? Are you very driven, ambitious? Are these things that other people have told you? Weaknesses would be areas you've noticed in yourself that make it difficult for you to complete challenges. Now, this area is usually quite easy to fill out. It's easy to put yourself down. So it could be that you really aren't motivated at all. It could be that you're just always tired. And then we'll go to threats. Worst case scenarios in your environment that can make it very hard for you to learn this new skill you want to learn. Something that will set you off on a horrible path as soon as you start this skills development journey. It could be something as small as losing your keys or losing an object in the morning makes it really hard for you to focus because it throws everything out of whack for you. I'm like that. I'm the kind of person where if I schedule a meeting with someone, they don't turn up, it really will throw off the rest of my day and it'll just be miserable. Nothing seems in order. Nothing seems like it's in the right slots. Or it could be something really extreme. The risk of a loved one passing away, the risk of losing your job. These are all threats. These are all things you need to recognize now and consider the possibilities of them happening and note them down. On the other hand, are opportunities. What things outside of yourself? It could be the ability to have flexible hours at work so you can move time slots around to meet a new skill. The things such as the people you know who are experts in this field you want to work in or this skill you want to develop. For each box you see there, put 3 points if you can. And if you think of more than 3, then look back at the 3 that are on there and think, does this beat that 3 that I can see right now? If it does, remove it, put it down. Next, you've done your prep work, thought of your why. You've also done your self-reflection. And now, how to do the research in the right way. Now, similar to before, the resources you're going to go through is going to be the visual stuff like videos. There's online courses you can take on. There's also books and blogs, and also podcasts like I mentioned earlier. But I'm going to teach you a trick that I use to learn a new skill that helps me a lot. And that's by attaching my why to the research and the actual skills development itself. I'm quite a tactile learner, so I think this point benefits tactile learners a lot more. When I'm learning a new skill and I'm doing it through an online course or a video, I like to make the content I'm digesting relevant to what I'm working on. So when I was watching YouTube videos on developing a website, the instructor on the video would say, use Hello World as your title. I use Anxious Extrovert as a title because that's what I wanted the website title to be. I made the stuff I was learning applicable to the goals I had in mind. And what that meant was I was more motivated because immediately I'm seeing results off the back of what I'm learning and what I'm developing. I can see things coming together slowly. And for people like me, I guess, it's a lot easier to do it in that way because then you can easily reflect and say, look how far I've come. Look at this website coming along so nicely. But yeah, that's one way to do it. We're talking more about how to apply your why in the reinforcement stage. Having a good toolkit is one of the most important things. Having a good journal to be able to read, to be able to look at and say, okay, this is how far I've come. Having a journal you can reflect on is one of the most important things you can have in your arsenal. And then it's the equipment. It sounds silly, but it's so obvious. I want to learn how to build a website. I want to learn how to be a good designer. Do you have a laptop? Do you have a computer? These are things that it would be great if you could have it in your personal environment. When I first started, I did have to go to the library a lot, but eventually I was able to save up and I got my own laptop. It's a simple case of, do I have the resources near me so I can create that environment for me to be able to develop that skill? It could be a physical challenge, and I know that's hard. Then you've got to go outside, you've got to go to the gym. Fine. Do I have the equipment to make it easy for me to get to these points? I'm not saying don't do this at all because you don't have the equipment. It's good to be aware of these things now because what you can do is if you don't have it, note it all down. These could be things you can get over time to make the development easier for you in the long run. The next is affirmation kits. One of our premium employers on our platform is Young Black Psych. They have an amazing affirmation toolbox designed for children, but I still watch cartoons, so I still use it. I know that they are considering making an adult pack, and we would love to support that. Having an affirmation kit's amazing, or an affirmation app, or some kind of tool that gives you a positive start to your day, a tool that kind of goes, hey, it's not that bad. It gives you a motivational quote to live by in that day. Having that kind of kit is amazing, and it seems so simple. And I think for a lot of people, it's quite confusing in terms of they're just words. All these words help to code what is going to be a better day if you put it in the right order. You start your day with the right positive note for yourself, you'll be fine. And the last but not least, as part of your research, include some moral support. Now, I like to talk a lot, and I'll let all my friends and family know about something I'm trying to develop. Sometimes I'll talk to experts around me. I'll talk to people who I work with who are really good at this skill. I remember in the company I used to work in, the one I work in now, I'm very close to a lot of web developers, and they still help me with certain bits of code, or they help me with certain challenges I'm facing. And sometimes they won't give me the answer. They'll challenge me in a way where I have to go and learn in a new path. And that's all about knowledge sharing. And once again, if you've missed that, the previous video is live. Go hunt for it. If I'm uploading this on YouTube, I'll try and float it in a box somewhere, or check in the description for a link to our video on knowledge sharing. Another step down from expert, step down in order but not down in importance, is a learning partner, someone who's just getting started like you. Together, all these moral support points are basically making yourself more accountable in your skills development journey. You need people to hold you to account on how far you've come, and whether you're doing it or not. Being motivated sounds like being, Superman, being the person that pushes yourself along all the time. And you don't have to be the only person on your journey. You can have people pushing you along, people encouraging you to keep going. That's the best way to stay motivated, because on your down days, you don't have people distracting you with other endeavors. You have people reminding you that you can do it. So if you've got those close friends and families around you, you've got an expert that you're in contact with, that you've reached out to, you'll be fine. If you've got a learning partner that can support you, even better. Someone who can do it with you. Even if it's a case of you want to learn how to run a marathon, even better. Physical sports being done in pairs or being done as a group. It's so much easier to learn it that way. It's so much easier to develop that skill, because you do it together. You motivate each other. You push each other to the next rep. You push each other to the next mile, kilometer, wherever it is. Remember when I said imagine a day after you've mastered this skill? What does that look like? If you remember that, you probably also remember that that was quite hard to do. I still find it hard to do what that exact day looks like. I'm trying to picture a post-credit scene in my head of what it feels like. And that's how I know it's a long-term goal. Mastering this skill is a long-term goal, and long-term goals are usually quite vague. It's as blank as that green square I've got on the screen right there. But it's okay that it's vague. That's how I know it's a long-term goal. And getting more clarity over it means that I'm getting closer to that goal, and I'm getting more confident, and I'm more excited about it because it's becoming clearer to me. So what I then do is try and break it down into midterm goals, because I have an idea of what it's like to be a really good web developer. Being really good at back end, being able to make some web apps. That's one midterm goal. Another midterm goal is being really good at the problem solving side of things. And I've developed these midterm goals by talking to people, by watching videos, by using those research pieces we talked about earlier. So I'm breaking it down into smaller chunks. The midterm goals are smaller versions of your long-term goals. Still a bit vague, but it's slightly a bit clearer, because I know what I need to do now to get there. I know that, okay, I need to maybe consider making an app by myself at some point, or making some server-side tools, which I have done. I think I launched our recent contact us section on our website, and that's AWS backend to it. Very proud of that, as you can tell. I brag about it all the time. But it's breaking into chunks, sizable chunks. There's still a lot to do to develop those skills, but I can understand what I need to do to get there. It's a bit vague in my head of what it feels like when it's done. I know what to do to make it a bit clearer. So these are my midterm goals. Now, your short-term goals are tiny little bite-sized pieces that you clearly understand. The vision is clear on how to get to them, and these are the goals you want to celebrate the most, because no matter what, everything's going to look like short-term goal in the long run. As you get clarity of your midterm goals, they will become short-term goals. If this is a lifelong skill you want to develop, that long-term goal will always be blurry and unclear, and that's fine. When it comes to motivating yourself to learn a new skill, the mindset you have to go into it is you have to learn to enjoy the journey and not just the end. The end result sometimes will come to you and you realize there's so much more I want to get out of this, and it becomes a long-term goal. So if you're doing this as part of your progression, and let's say you learn how to edit videos or edit images, and you get the basics and you've got the job, you're going to be expected to get better at this. There's going to be new challenges coming in, new things added to these features. Adobe Premiere Pro is going to have a new feature that you have to learn, or After Effects will have a new Whether editing software or Photoshop, wherever it is, software you're using, they'll have different features that you have to master. There'll be different challenges over time, and there'll always be a long-term goal. And there'll always be ways of breaking it down to make a mid-term goal. So you need to learn to enjoy those short-term wins and learn to keep pushing it along, learn to keep that motivation going. And the best way to do that is celebrate that first day. When you start, when you've mapped it all down, look at it and set a date. This is the day I'm going to start this short-term goal. Celebrate it when it starts. Let's just give it a quick recap. So we've covered visualizing the outcome. That was at the very start when I asked you to think about why you want to learn this skill, who depends on you to learn this skill. Imagine yourself enjoying this skill once you've mastered it, or try to build up that image and think, oh, it'd be nice to have a new sports car because I can afford to, because this skill's paying me good money, let's say. And then following on from that was self-reflection. You've mapped up what you need to work on, and you're now aware of yourself. You've done the SWOT analysis, and you kind of know, okay, these are areas I can struggle with, because that's what that will allow you to do. You visualize the future and you're excited about it. You've self-reflected and you realize these are things that might come up. And the benefit about all of this is you are now better prepared for these threats coming up, these issues cropping up in your day in life. You're aware of them, and you've managed your expectations. So when they do come up, you knew this could happen. Life's tough. Life throws you curveballs all the time, and you knew this could happen. So it's okay, we planned for this. The next is the research. We talked about how you can use videos, blogs, podcasts, whatever it is to learn. We talked about how you can lean on an expert to help you fill your learning gaps. Together so far, we've gone, imagine what it's like to have this skill, how exciting it is to have. Okay, now you've done that, imagine what could set it off. Reflect on yourself. Now it's time to do some research. Now you know more about yourself. You know about your strengths, your weaknesses, your threats, the opportunities. Also consider what you can learn to help you counteract those threats and those weaknesses you've recognized. Learn about ways of having backup plans, ways of alternatives, bringing things back to what we're talking about. You thought of your alternatives through research, you found people to help you and people to make you accountable for your development based on what you've learned about yourself, and all excited about that why at the very start. You're still excited. And then you set the goals, make it easy to achieve. You remotivate yourself by simply going, these are the small steps I need to complete to get me closer to the goal. And whilst you develop those small steps, if you remember, I was talking about in the research section, as you learn, make it applicable to what you're doing. That's always a great motivator. The same for the small steps. If you make them applicable to what you're doing, you can see real-time progression towards what you're learning. It's easier to do when it comes to physical aspects, because the more you run, the better you get at it. And that's 100% applicable to what you're doing. If you're learning something that requires more technicalities, like editing videos, like playing a video game, for example, because you're a streamer, try and apply the skill to what you're learning whilst you do it, and you see real-time progression rather than just learning and come back to it. But once again, I'm speaking from the point of view of a tactile learner, someone who likes to learn as they go along and make mistakes and fix things as they go. You might still benefit from watching something, consuming information and trying it at a later date. That's also fine. I'm giving you the advice I can from my experiences, from the experience of all the skills coaches I've spoken to, but you need to adapt this information to your benefits as well. The structure still stands, but the way you approach the learning, whether you interact with the learning whilst you do it, or whether you just learn and then do the skill, that's all down to you. But the important thing is, throughout all of this, remember that why. I asked you to write it down for a reason. Remember that why. Consistently reflect on it. Because that's the one consistent thing throughout all the skills coaching documents I've looked at, all the skills coaches I've spoken to. One of the main consistencies is understanding your why and constantly reminding yourself of why you're doing this and using that to push yourself. So next, creating a routine. Oh, I do respect that everyone has jobs, everyone has crazy timetables, but it's a very basic timetable. A person who works 9 to 5 and then the rest of the days theirs, doesn't work on weekends. What I'm trying to say is map out that average week for yourself and try and find slots with skills training. Use half your weekend, let's say, to develop yourself. Try and create a routine you can stick to, a routine that won't get as disrupted. And if it does get disrupted, give yourself some forfeits. Where else can you position them? Where else can you move these routines into? Let's say on Monday at 5 p.m, I'm meant to be building this aspect on my website. I'm meant to be learning about how AWS Lambda functions work. Cool. Gets to 5 p.m. and I've got to make tea, or the car's broken down, I've got to take it to mechanics. Fine. I'm going to take that challenge and move on to the next day if I can, and try to take over the next day and still at least try to maintain progress. So there will be hiccups in that journey of creating a routine for yourself. But as long as you're able to at least set some kind of accountability, like I said earlier, reach out to friends and family if you feel like things are going a bit haywire. Let them reinforce that in you, that, hey, you've got to do this, you've got to get this done. You'll be fine. But that consistency will guide you to great successes. And now the reinforcement. Like I said, the best way to motivate yourself to learn a new skill is reminding yourself why. Don't just remind yourself why, visualize how good it is to respond to that question. When a friend or family asks you, oh, can you help me edit this video, in your head, you kind of go, I've got this because I've been developing this skill. That's something to look forward to if that's something you care about. The next one is a support network. Set milestones for yourself and regular catch-ups. This is something you especially can do with the expert that's supporting you, the friends and family that's supporting you. Make them aware of what you want to achieve and then encourage them to remind you of how far you've come so far and what you've still got to get done. The same goes for regular catch-ups. Once again, reflecting on our knowledge sharing session previously, setting a consistent timetable you can work towards. Regular catch-ups is one of the best ways to develop the skills you want to do, especially when you've got someone doing it with you. When someone's come in and asking you, okay, how far have you come along in this journey? This is how far I've come along this journey. Let's compare. Next is live tracking. I put that in especially because I know that meeting in person or meeting other people can be difficult for some, and that's okay. But there's apps like Strava that let you live track your progress on a project. For Notion, I see a lot of people doing that you can use to progress track yourself. And you don't have to constantly be in contact with someone, but making your progress visible to others. So then if they see that you're not doing much, they can dive in and go, hey, not done much today. Is everything okay? It's not about you feeling crap every time you don't achieve something. It's more about people being aware of the progress you're making. It's having eyes on you from the external point of view. So when you're wallowing in self-pity, you've got someone who's got more of a positive mindset at that time to come in and encourage you to get back on that grind. Progress tracking and reflection. As we mentioned earlier, journaling is a great way to do that. But I'm not just saying keep journaling. I'm also saying look at your progress that you've written down. Read back a few days in that journal, in that progress tracker app you might have, and look at where you were when you first started and look where you are now. If you see a negative point in your progress, this is an opportunity to work on things a bit better, try and adapt the system to work for you. If you're not the kind of person that likes to learn whilst you work, then adapt it and just learn and work. It could be reading, it could be listening to something, wherever it is. Mess around with the system and find what's right for you until you start seeing positive progress, until you start seeing that you're leveling up. Keep playing about with things and find what's perfect for you. Because that's, like I said earlier, that's the main thing about motivation for a new skill, especially. The motivator for everyone is different. So you need to find what's right for you. What I'm trying to do is make you aware of as much as I can, so then you can pick the system and structures that work for you. So let's quickly go over our new flow for motivation for a new skill. We talked about our prep work. One point I want to add to that is patience. Celebrate the short wins, the little steps you make. That's the best way to stay patient. I'm a very impatient person. Everyone knows me for that, and it's definitely a weakness I have. It's something I need to work on, and what helps me work on that is by splitting my goal into short-term wins that I can achieve. So patience will take you very far. If you can do the work now, you can succeed later. So prepare right now. Do all the prep work. Do all the learning you can now. Build up yourself, your mindset, and your awareness of the challenge you're about to take on. You'd be much more ready to embark on this new skills development. You'd be much more motivated because it'd be clear in your head what needs to be done this week, next week, so on, so forth. Next is creating a routine. And one thing I didn't mention that I really should have was be sure to make time for yourself. Be sure to maintain some time for self-care. Now, I know we all know of David Goggins, well, most of us do, and he's superhuman. I'm not saying that you're not as good as him. I'm saying that he's a different person on his own skills development journey. Now, if you don't know about David Goggins, he is the guy who runs 100-mile marathons. He's been in the Navy. He's the kind of person that goes, hurt yourself, keep going. Doesn't matter. Just keep pushing through the pain. And for some people, that kind of motivation works, but for many, it doesn't. You need to be very aware of your own skills, your own capabilities. You need to be aware that to make the most out of your skills development, to stay motivated and to keep making progress, you need to be in an optimum mindset. If you're sacrificing your physical and mental health to develop a skill, you need to consider whether this skill is worth breaking yourself for. You need to make time for yourself so you can develop this new skill in the best way possible and so you can have a full understanding of it. You also need to look after yourself so you can celebrate and enjoy the skill once you've mastered it. You're doing this for a reason. You've got your why. And I'm sure in that why, there's a positive experience you want to have. Focus on that positive experience and learn this skill in the right way. Have time for sleep, rest, and try and put some time in for family and friends as well, because they're the same people that are going to help keep you accountable. So give them back the value of fulfilling your duty as a family member or a friend. Getting started, like I said before, celebrate your first day. My first day of web development, I'm pretty sure I went and had a pint with everyone after work when I decided, yep, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn properly how to build websites. Celebrate that first day, because what we've done so far is we've made it a lot of hard work just to learn a new skill. I've purposely done that. I've purposely added all those steps, all those writings you need to do to develop your new skill. We need to build up the value of this. Once it's built up, once it feels like a massive weight on your shoulders, there's so much to be done. All you have is that one little task you've got to complete this week as part of your short-term goal. Once you complete that task, the weight drops and you celebrate. You're on your journey now. The boulder's rolling down a hill and you're just running after it. Next, track your goals. This is all part of your new flow, right? Track your goals. Reflect on how far you've come. Look how well you're doing. You understood your why. You created a good routine. You had to adjust some things. But if things aren't going so well, that's when reinforcement comes in. Asking friends and family to support you, reminding yourself of how far you've come. And if you realize that there's still issues, you keep having to reinforce yourself, this isn't working out, then you go back to your routine. Do you consistently feel motivated? Do you see positive progress in what you're doing? If you don't, you need to look back at that routine and see if you're looking after yourself properly. You might find that what I said about this is nonsense and David Goggins is motivational. You've got the same mindset as him. Well, okay. But please make sure that you're physically and mentally healthy enough to live out that why you had, that imagined day, the day after you've mastered everything. That's the long-term goal. That's the goal we want to achieve. What I'm learning to do is I stop work at 8 p.m. or if I'm in a position where I can't stop work at 8 p.m., I will never start a new task after 8 p.m. because I want to give myself enough time to rest and fulfill my commitment to my full-time job the next day. So the main takeaways I have for you today: consistency is key, so stick to the plan. If that plan isn't working for you, look at your reinforcements, look and see if you can readjust that routine you created at the start. The next one is you just need to start. And this is something I haven't mentioned, but something that you need to take away with you today. It's hard to do. It's hard to get out of bed. Let's say you have to start your day at 6 in the morning. It's really hard to do. So what I would do in that situation is remind myself that, yeah, but I'm not going to feel like this for the rest of the day. I've had my 8 hours of sleep that I promised myself. I feel okay. I feel healthy. I just need to get out of bed, face this cold, because it's not going to feel like this all day. It's going to feel so much better when I've made the most of this extra few hours in my day. So just start. Sometimes you got to trick your brain to just start. You've got, crank the engine a bit, and then it's fine after that. It's the third one, and I know I keep saying it, but it's because people don't keep doing it. It's celebrate the small wins. The short-term goals, when you complete it, give yourself a treat, whether it's go out for a drink, whether it's order food in that day, whatever it is, celebrate it. Because making your skills development a positive experience will keep you motivated for a longer period. Last but not least, reflect on the why and how far you've come. Look at the journals you make, talk to the people who've been guiding you, who've been holding you accountable. Reflect on where you started. Reflect on how you thought this was going to be impossible, but now look how easy it seems. When I wanted to learn how to build websites, I opened up a course and it started talking about P tags and H tags and all these things, and I closed my laptop. I was like, no, this is impossible to learn. But now I look at that kind of stuff and I laugh about it because to me it seems so simple now. It seems so easy to do, and I almost kind of feel a bit scammed by all the web developers who will kind of charge me to build my website. So reflect on how far you've come and embrace that. You've now started to develop a unique ability, something that helps you in your personal progression, something that might fix your boredom and keeps your mind more active. And last but not least, something that is giving you a purpose in life, something that's fulfilling your soul searching needs. Remind yourself how far you're coming along in that goal and how close you are to that. I mean, the imaginary day where you've built something amazing and everyone's using it. And all I want to say right now is a massive thank you to everyone that's watching. You can join for free as a learner on Evolve and talk within our community. You can also pay for your engaged learner opportunities and talk to me like Shy is doing. One of the main things is Shy is actually a premium employer also, so he's also able to promote job opportunities on the platform that you can take advantage of. I'm actually on the Discord page right now, so I'm going to try and open up our jobs board that people can jump in on. So yeah, this is what our jobs board would look like. For example, I believe we've got some premium employees who've already put opportunities up, some from uni days. You'd also have access to our discount offers as well. In this session, people got to take advantage of discounts from Headspace, which was very nice. As a wellbeing brand, it's great to have the support of another wellbeing brand in an affiliate partnership. That was really good for us. And it was really good to be able to share that with our audience in our live session. If you join Evolve right now, if you haven't already, you would receive the same discount via email as well. Right now, I'm going to go off now and record some videos on how to use our community. So have a good day. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful day. Whatever time you see this is when you see it. Bye bye.